So welcome everybody to the Tech Under 20 Cup Information Night. Thank you for joining the live session today. We have a couple things to go over. So we're gonna sort of go through 5 categories. First thing, going through what the cup is, talking more about the theme, and the prizes. I know all of you are excited to learn more about those. You'll have a chance to go through Q&A, and then we'll get to do some breakout activities afterwards. So let's get started then. Okay, so to get started, we kind of want to give you a history of what Tech Under 20 is. So Tech Under 20 has been running for 5 years. There's a bunch of text here of things that we've done from 2015 to 2020, but 2021 and onwards, we have a couple more goals. So we've helped more than 1,000 students with our programs, given out more than 40,000 in funding, worked with really great partners like RBC, Microsoft, Geotab, local cities, and whatnot. So we've done a lot of cool stuff so far, and over the next couple of years, we're continuing to try to improve the student experience that exists right now. So you can read over that, and if you have any questions about these things, feel free to ask in the Discord later on. But we just want to provide this so you get some context of everything that we're doing and are going to do in the future. Many of you have probably also seen this slide. So right now we're kind of halfway through the Tech Under 20 year, which is the school year. And the Tech Under 20 Cup is really over here on the left-hand side, which focuses on implementation, right? So how do you build something cool while also learning skills, getting mentored, and really getting those real life skills that students sometimes struggle to find, and explore those career options with building something that helps the community out. So TU20 Cup is our biggest event of the year, and it's probably the one where you get to do some of the most hands-on work. And the last thing about Tech Under 20 to quickly mention is that so we're really focused on community-based initiatives. So it's not only just helping students, it's helping the community grow. We really want to create that hands-on learning environment as well, something different from schools and other programs. And we really want to strive to create a good mentorship environment and also provide unique opportunities that aren't available. We don't want to be just another business competition or hackathon, right? We want to create something that's meaningful to students. Okay, so on to what is the cup. So the Tech Under 20 Cup is a tech entrepreneurship competition. And what that means is that our focus is to help you gain the skills to launch a technology startup. So it goes on for 2 months, so beginning of January to beginning of March, and you work in a team. So we've had the cup, this is now the 5th year. So every year we have a theme. And we'll go over that a little bit later, but basically it's a broad idea, and you and your team get to pick a problem to solve in that category. And to help you with that, we provide workshops, mentors, and a lot of feedback to sort of guide you through that, just because launching a business and a project and idea is a lot of work. So we want to expose you to that, so you gain those skills and experiences before you want to do it for real, or before necessarily the working world demands it from you. And we try to make an impact on the community. So we've had a number of projects in past years, and we'll talk a little bit about that have been implemented in schooling systems, help charities out. So we really want to make sure that the solutions continue to live past the March date, and they actually get built out over the summer and such. All right, so the timeline. So the Tech Under 20 Cup sort of has 5 phases to it in the course of the 2 months. So this is something we've been playing with in the past couple of years, is how do we help students have bite-sized pieces for their projects, but also make sure that there's enough guidance. So these are pretty straightforward. So phase 1 is sort of ideation, like any sort of business venture. You want to learn more about the product areas that you're working on, sort of do some brainstorming, research, just understand sort of what interests you and what problems you can solve. After that is customer feedback. So this is something they don't really teach in school, but you want to have really good user and customer engagement. And by customer, I mean people who'd be using your product, right? The people who'd either be paying for it or consuming it, right? You want to make sure you're building something useful. So after doing some of that research and getting some validation on your ideas and your solutions, we want you to write a business plan to say, okay, we have this idea, we started working on it, this is how it's going to be successful. And it's not supposed to be one of those super complicated business plans. It's very, very practical and having you think through how your business is going to scale. What are the key assumptions you're making? What are some of the next steps? The fourth phase is kind of just building it, and many teams will do this simultaneously through everything. They'll code a little bit, then do some user interviews, then make a business plan. But we sort of see most of the teams doing it towards the end. And the last one is your pitch. So you're really selling your product and saying, this is why this will work, and this is why this is a great idea. And likewise, we ask for deliverables for all these stages. So this is something that we've changed from past years. So every couple of weeks, we want the teams to submit some small pieces of work to show that you're making progress and that to also to pace yourself. So before we just had the business plan, the technical deep dive and the pitch. This time we've added requirements to submit some of your problem research and prototype feedback. This is partially because past teams have focused on their solution sort of to be done a little bit later on, which is I think is typical of school projects or any kind of deliverable, but we wanted to be better spaced out. And the other thing is that we saw that many teams didn't have too much user engagement, and it was a recurring point where it was on our judging criteria, but teams didn't score too well on it. So we made it an explicit deliverable just so you can be a little bit more successful and sort of approach the problem in a recommended and best practice way. So we're not doing this for the sake of giving you more work. This is how you launch a successful startup, right? So we want you to get exposure to these things. Okay, so what happens from here? So right now we're running the kickoff week. So the info night, the 3 meet a mentor sessions, and then the holiday social. So this is just to give you a little bit of exposure of the different parts, right? So what is the cup? What does mentorship and sort of career advice look like? And then also, how can I get more involved in the community, meet some friends, and sort of be involved in the social aspect of the cup? Because we also think that's really important, especially during a time like COVID. The next part is the actual creation stage. So this is the competition itself. It runs from January to March, as we mentioned before. We'll have a lot more details once you actually register and sign up for the cup. We'll have a couple presentations about that. But the third stage, which a lot of teams sort of don't get in other competitions, is the next steps, right? So within the cup, we want that implementation for the winning teams to keep building their projects, to keep trying it out. And we also have some partnerships with companies and internships to keep the projects going afterwards. Okay, so mentorship. So mentorship is super important. We don't think that there's enough of it necessarily at the high school and even university level, is actually meeting people who have done this before. And by done this before is build a successful product, do a pitch, do a business plan, know an area, and sort of pass on that knowledge through mentorship and feedback. So we think that's super important. So that's why we've assigned, or we're going to assign each team 2 mentors, a technical and a business/domain expert, right? So this is something we think is super valuable and super different from other competitions, is you have 2 mentors for your team who can really help you out and answer any questions and provide good feedback. The other part is that we have workshops every couple of weeks. So we're going to have between 3 to 6 workshops, some live, some recorded, to really help you out with some of the key parts, because you might have never done a business plan before, or a pitch, or a product, or interview users. And that's okay. We want you to use this as a learning experience. So we've created some content and curated some content on these topics as well. All right, and the other thing I just wanted to mention is here is some history about the Tech Under 20 Cup. So we launched in March of 2017 on a theme of education. We had 13 teams at the event, which was hosted at the Microsoft headquarters in Mississauga. We gave up some small prizes for the event, and the winning team sort of went through an startup accelerator program that was hosted by Silicon Halton. In year two, we actually monetized the event, which was super cool because we found that the retention rate wasn't that great. So we had like 28 teams sign up, but only 13 teams showed up. So we wanted to make sure that the students who signed up were committed, but we also needed to fund the actual event itself with the venue and food and prizes and whatnot. So the second cup was on smart cities. And again, the winning team went through this accelerator program. In 2019, we shifted gears and the program got much larger, so 120 students with 30 teams. We got some great funding from the Oakville Community Foundation and RBC for students to actually build out their projects over the course of the summer. So top place was 15,000, second place was 7.5. And the top or the two teams that built out their projects afterwards were Team Petminder, which worked on a summer reading program app with the Oakville Public Library, and then Team Prepry, who built out an app for Food for Life for education. So that's really the community aspect, and $22,500 of student funding we thought was pretty remarkable with what we had. The next year, last year, we focused on climate change. That year we actually secured an internship for the students. A project within Geotab on tracking emissions and carbon data. So that was really cool. So the 4 students participated. There's more information on our website about that and sort of their internship experience, but we found that to be really great. And this year, we have more than $10,000 in prize funding. We have the Geotab internships again and an RBC prize pack, which has internship interviews, executive mentorship, social media features, a lot of cool stuff there as well. So this year we're looking to make the event a little bit bigger just because it's virtual and we think that a lot of students would benefit from it. And the theme this year is resilient communities. Okay. So we're Tech Under 20 alumni now. So here are 2 alumni who actually launched a company together. Daniel and Marissa are at Laurier, and they founded Earth Studs. So originally it was started by Marissa and another co-founder, and Daniel joined in later. So Daniel was a 2017 TU20 Cup winner, and Marissa was on the second place team in 2018. So they sort of started off part of their entrepreneurial journey as part of the competition, but now they're really focusing in on Earth Studs. And Earth Studs was focused on, or was featured on National Geographic, CBC, and won second place at Enactus's World Cup. So a lot of cool stories from that. A number of other people are working at some of the big tech companies. Daniel's teammate, Matthew, actually also raised $2.5 million for his blockchain startup last year. So we've had some continued success from the alumni, and we hope that you join that list as well of doing cool things after the cup. So really great to see there being success, and these individuals are really remarkable, and we're not going to take any credit for their success, but it's kind of cool to see that the people who participated in this event beforehand have sort of gone on to do great things, and you get to be part of that community. All right, the theme. So what does resilient communities mean? So resilient communities are really about helping communities deal with challenging situations, right? So a crisis that unfolds, sort of a long-term deficiency. So we want to focus on preventative, responsive, and sort of abilities for communities to thrive, right? So this can be in a wide number of different areas. So it can be healthcare, obviously with COVID. How do you make it more environmentally or more healthcare, create a better environment for healthcare, right? And so people are supported and successful. Things like social issues, right? So we've seen a number of social issues come up, whether it's racial tension or like political unrest or polarization in social media, right? Environmental things like the planet still isn't doing better than it was before in terms of emission and garbage and all these things. So the list goes on, and we've given you some examples here. But basically, as long as you can tell the judges and say, look, we're making our community better by these aspects and creating resiliency, whether it's helping small businesses or the healthcare sector, like that's as long as you can make that argument, you fall under this theme. And the goal of the theme is to really have students focus on certain issues or think in a certain way, just because if we said pitch anything, right, that's A, not really helpful for you to coming up with ideas, but B, we want to have a little bit of structure there as well. All right, prizes. So as part of Tech Under 20, we think that everybody's super busy, and for your effort, we want to make sure that there is some recognition and some reward for that as well. So even though we think that all the other stuff we mentioned about the cup, helping your community, learning key skills, getting mentorship are important, we still realize that there's a lot of stuff going on elsewhere. So how do our prizes align? So this year we have $10,000 in cash prizes to be won. These will be distributed among a couple categories, which we'll get to later. We also have 2 company-specific prizes. So the way this works is that each company is submitting a challenge statement, and that's basically like a subcategory to the challenge. So RBC and Geotab will submit these challenges, and if you place number 1 in their sub-challenge, you will win these prizes. So Geotab is offering high school and university internships for the students. RBC is offering interviews for their internships, a social media feature, and senior director mentorship. So really cool prize packs, quite unique. There aren't too many internship opportunities out there for high school students. The fact that you can win internships within this competition, we think is really cool. And we hope that this continues to build your skills and make an impact in the community afterwards. So we'll be announcing more about specific values and how all this works as sort of the competition gets started, and also in the next couple of weeks on social media, but just so that you're aware, here it is. The prize categories for the main $10,000. So we have our top 3 prizes. So this is a combination of sort of a technical and business award. So just who are the 3 most outstanding teams. We have the top junior award. So younger students, we know that it's sometimes challenging to go up against grade 4 university students and try to win a competition because they've had more schooling or more experience or whatnot. So we want to make sure that younger students feel comfortable in participating in this as well. In past years, we've had students as young as, I think, grade 6 participate. And we always have a couple students from middle school also participate and do quite well. The third prize is a new one we're adding this year, which is the top community prize, which is basically how do we award teams that do a lot of user research, engage with the community in terms of creating a sort of a solution that really fixes the problem. Not that I have an idea and it works, but I talked to 100 people, got their opinions. I showed all these people my prototype. This is all the direct feedback. And this is really sort of a user-centric approach. This approach is actually highly valued at top companies. It's a make or break deal, for example, at Amazon as part of their hiring practice, and really important at other large companies like Netflix, among others. So sort of learning that user engagement is super important, and we want to reward teams that do a good job. The fourth one is a tech award. So this is the Tech Under 20 Cup. So we want to make sure that teams who do a great job building something have used some really cool tech. It doesn't have to be super flashy, but it works and it gets the job done. That they are recognized for that, not just teams that sort of slap together a PowerPoint and are amazing public speakers, right? So we want to do that and validate that as well. And the last point we briefly touched upon were company awards, so Geotab and RBC specific prizes. All right, so really powered through that. It's a lot of information, but does anybody have any questions? If you can just type those out in the chat, I think that'll be easier, and then we'll read them out. All right, how do you make teams? This is a good question. So basically, we let people sign up in teams. So you buy your ticket on Eventbrite, and afterwards we have a Google form to fill out if you have a team already in mind. Many teams also keep looking for teammates for particular skill sets, or that they just want to be added to a team, right? So we also do team matching as well, right before the competition starts. So we encourage everybody to get their friends involved. It's a fun a way to do something useful and benefit the community. But if you're a smaller group or want to be matched with people, we also offer that as well. Is the theme resilient communities, or will there be a more specific topic? Resilient communities is the topic, so it's quite broad. So a lot of things apply, as we mentioned in the deck, but there are more specific challenges for RBC and Geotab. Those are being finalized, and that's how you're eligible for their prize packs. So those will be announced in a week or so. All right, do we have any other questions? All right. So if you have any other questions later on, feel free to type them in the chat. And if this session ends and we haven't answered your question, feel free to ask in our Discord server. We'll be monitoring that as well. All right. So that's it for part one of this event. Now the other part is doing some breakout activities that Heather can explain. So we wanted to tell you a little bit more about the cup, but also give you some activities to get to know people in these groups. So we can stop recording now, Heather. I think that's fine.